Nearly 6,000 migrants walking through Mexico are now headed towards the United States. The caravan left Mexico City on Friday morning and are slowly making their way to the border. This is the Departments of Homeland Security and Justice announced that migrants seeking asylum will not be allowed to enter illegally. Instead, they must enter through official ports of entry. Joining me now, the founder of Millennial Politics, Nathan Rubin, and Director of Hispanic Engagement at Turning Point USA, Anna Paulina. So I'm doing this segment because you get a lot of heat on social media, Anna, and they say, you know, Fox News, once the election was over, you guys stopped covering the caravan. Well, Watters World is covering the caravan, and we're telling you it's continuing to head north. Why is the caravan such an important issue for you?
I'd say number one, hands down, biggest issue is human trafficking. You have Polaris Hotline statistics saying that a third of human trafficking victims are coming from South America. Not to mention what the ACLU put out, the State Department, the Justice Department. It's an issue.
All right, so Nathan, come on. You're looking at thousands of people now walking up towards the United States border. We don't know who they are. There's no way to vet them, but because of the legal loopholes in this country, once they set foot in America and they have a child, who knows if it's really their child, they get to stay.
So I think we do have a process for people applying for asylum, and I agree that we do not know who every single person is in that caravan. We do know that there were as many as 10,000 people at one point in this caravan. It's now down to 6,000. They're still several hundred miles away in Mexico City. They are going to probably continue north. Whoever does make it to the border, they should have their legal right to file for asylum.
So you're okay with people crossing the border illegally?
I'm okay with them coming to legal ports of entry and filing for asylum.
But they're not going to legal ports of entry.
But it seems now that Donald Trump has made that an executive order and rejiggered the process. So what I will say is that they should have the legal right. Under the Refugee Act of 1980, this was established by law that people fleeing persecution, political instability, they have the right to come forward.
Yeah, but Anna, a lot of these people are not fleeing violence in their country. All of the interviews conducted by these caravan members say they're there for money. They want to come up here to work and then wire it back home to El Salvador.
Exactly. They were offered an ability to stay in Mexico, and they said no. So they're cutting the line, and that's not fair. What about, I have family members in Mexico. That's not fair to them. That's wrong.
So if you're at Starbucks, Nathan, and someone cuts the line and you can't get your mocha frappuccino, do you say that's fine?
I don't usually go to Starbucks, but I would probably...
How about Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's a little more complicated and nuanced than an example like that.
I don't. I thought I pretty much nailed it. All right, let's talk about Michelle Obama versus Donald Trump. So Michelle Obama came out with a book, and this is what it says. You ready? The whole birther thing was crazy and mean-spirited. Of course, its underlying bigotry and xenophobia hardly concealed. But it was also dangerous, deliberately meant to stir up the wingnuts and the kooks. What if someone with an unstable mind loaded a gun and drove to Washington? What if that person went looking for our girls? Donald Trump, with his loud and reckless innuendos, was putting my family's safety at risk, and for this, I'd never forgive him. Well, Donald Trump is not a forgiving person either, it looks like. He was asked about the Michelle Obama book, and here's how he responded.
I guess she wrote a book. She got paid a lot of money to write a book. And they always insist that you come up with controversial. Well, I'll give you a little controversy back. I'll never forgive him for what he did to our United States military. By not funding it properly, it was depleted. Everything was old and tired. And I came in and I had to fix it. And I'm in the process of spending tremendous amounts of money. So I'll never forgive him for what he did to our military. I'll never forgive him for what he did in many other ways, which I'll talk to you about in the future.
All right, Anna, so neither of them is in a very forgiving mood. What do you think?
First and foremost, I love Donald Trump. I think that he and what he's done for this military has been incredible. Not to mention, I will add that he goes to Walter Reed and visits our service members who've been hurt overseas. So for him, I give him an A+ on that. But aside from that, Michelle Obama needs to learn something that I learned in the military called integrity. She doesn't even uphold the fact. She'll say that Trump's xenophobic. Well, her husband was forcing the exact same policies and laws. And by the way, I will add that I did have the pleasure of meeting President Trump. I am a Hispanic American, and he didn't throw his chunkle at me and a Moroccan and say, get out of the White House. So he's not xenophobic. It's ridiculous.
What do you say, Nathan?
So there are a couple of pieces I really want to jump on there. First and foremost, President Obama cut funding to the military as a result of the sequester. So we all remember that was done via Congress. So he doesn't shoulder all the blame for something like that. I think for President Trump visiting people at Walter Reed, that is certainly valuable and should be respected. He still hasn't been to a combat zone yet. So President Obama has visited troops abroad. So there are these little different
I
things.
think
troops
the
didn't even
combat
want
zones in
Obama
the
there.
White House, by the way, that these press people throw grenades
No,
at.
that,
The
that's
troops
fair.
didn't
But I
even
think
want
on the
Obama
point
there.
of the,
Obama
on
in
the-
combat. That's a joke.
All right.
I'm serious about that.
Well, I do want to talk about the book, for example, because I think Michelle Obama, now that she's out of the White House, she
Yes.
was the first African-American First Lady. She certainly has a right to speak and a right to write about whatever she would like. I think she suffered a lot of
I
different
want to
vitriol
read
and-
Trump's book. In 6 years from now, Nathan, I think that book's going to be a hot seller. Probably sell a little more copies than Michelle Obama.
Oh,
All right, Anna Paulina, I got to run. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank
I gotta
you.
Take care of some business. Coming up next, are you single? Are you a Trump supporter? A new website designed for you is hoping to make America date again. Don't go away.